Okay, this is the piece that we're going to do today, and I will show you the stamps that were used in this. Okay, we used the Stampscapes Nature Sheet 3, or 13 actually, and we used this stamp. We used Nature Sheet 1, and we used this grass. Okay, we used this stamp. It's number 323C, Rocks and Grass Large. This one, which is number 319F, is the Covered Bridge Small. We use this one, number 344E, the Bayou House Small. And we use this grass set from the Nature Set number 7. And from Art Impressions, we use this little flower set from the WC Mini Flower Set. We use the big group of flowers. This is from the WC Flower Set 2. And we used both these grasses from the foliage set. And I guess let's get started. Okay, I stamped out this practice session just on some printer paper just to get a layout of what I'm going to do. And now I'm going to do a practice session, and I'm going to be using Hammermill Color Laser Gloss paper. And I'll do it on this. I usually do a practice session on this paper first. Okay, I'm going to use scrapbook adhesives. This is a temporary adhesive, and I'm just going to put it a little bit on the back of this to hold this down on my scrap paper so that when I use a stamp positioner it won't move, and I can remove it when I'm finished. Okay, I'm going to use Memento Tuxedo Black, and I'll ink up the Bayou Shack first. And I'm just going to stamp it kind of up in the upper right hand corner. And when I put it on the block, I put it so that it's pretty much lined up, so that when I stamp it, hopefully my shack will be straight. And there we have it. And then I'll clean off my stamp. I always like to clean off my stamps as soon as I use them. Now next I am going to stamp the covered bridge, and this one I'm going to want to use a stamp positioner. So I'm going to get out my trusty stamp positioner. I'm going to ink this up. And I will stamp it first on the positioner. And get a good impression here. And I'm going to re-ink up the stamp before I get everything positioned, so I have it all ready to go. And then I'm going to position this so that the water line matches with the water line of the shack, so it's kind of a continual story. And this is the reason I wanted to put the paper down on the scrap paper, because the L here is not holding down the actual piece, and so this way when I slide off the stamp positioner, my workpiece doesn't move. And then I just put this up in the corner and stamp it in. Okay, clean off the stamp. And I'm also going to clean off my positioner. And now there's a little bit of space over here that I want to fill, and so I'm going to use this side of the stamp for that. And so I just want to get this tree inked up, and that's the one I'm going to use, and so we'll just kind of ink it up here. And I want to see about where it's at, about right here. And so I'm going to just kind of position this and stamp that side so that we can get this completed all the way across. And I'll clean off my stamp. I'm going to use the grass stamp. And you'll see the road is kind of coming down like this, and so I'm going to want to continue that road. And so I'll just ink up, and I'll just continue the road. And then the same this way. It's kind of going like this. So I'm just going to continue it on like this. And that looks pretty good. Okay, now I can remove the ink or the temporary adhesive on the back just by rubbing my finger over it, and that will get rid of the temporary adhesive because I don't need to hold this down anymore. And I'm going to give this a few minutes to dry, and then we'll begin coloring it. Okay, I'm going to start coloring the sky. I'm going to use some Stampin' Up! Ink I've got. I'm going to use Soft Sky, Pool Party, Marina Mist, and Island Indigo. And I'm going to color in the order from light to dark, and I'm going to do the sky and the water, and I'm also going to add some blue into the grass portion and the tree portion, but just a little bit of blue, not a great deal. I'm going to use my Tim Holtz Distress brush. Okay, I've got my inks lined up from lightest to darkest, and we'll start with the lightest. And then I've got a napkin here so that I can just kind of hold on to it and not get my fingerprints all over everything. Okay, for the grass area, I'm going to use Stampin' Up!, Sahara Sand, Crumb Cake, and Soft Suede. And I'm going to use my Tim Holtz blending brush that I have for the Stampin' Up! Browns. Okay, now I'm going to add some color to the trees in the background, and I want this to be a fall colored scene. So I'm going to use my alcohol markers, my Bianyo alcohol markers. I'm doing number 48, number 33, and number 23. And I'll start with the number 48, which is kind of a yellowish green. And then I'm going to come back in and I'm going to add a little more green. Actually, I think I will add in some of this rocks and grass stamp. I'm going to use my alcohol markers 104 and 103 to color in the rocks. And I'm going to color in the pier. Okay, I'm going to get my Island Indigo, which is the darkest color for the water, and I'm going to darken up the water a little bit. So I'm going to get out my... In fact, I think I'm going to use my color box stylus. I'm going to use my 104, the lightest brown that I used to color the house, and these reflections in the water, I'll just add a little bit here and there where the reflections are in the water here for the house. Use a little bit of the number 33. Okay, I'm going to use Blue-Gray 3 and Blue-Gray 5. These are my alcohol markers again, and I will use these for the roof. .103 for the slats in the door, like that, and also the sills for the window. Okay, and I want to have a yellow glow coming from the windows, so I'm going to use a distress marker, Scattered Straw, slightly orange, so I'm going to use Carved Pumpkin. Okay, I forgot one of the posts on the shack here, so I will just color that in real quick. Okay. I'm also going to color in the fence, oops, with the number 104 of my alcohol marker. Take some of my green, number 48. Okay, I'm going to take some soft suede, Stampin' Up, and I'm going to take my stylus tool again. And I'm going to follow the road and just try and make some ruts in it. And I don't think this is working very well. Use the side of this, that's better, and just kind of drag along the grain of the road to give the road some definition. And darken the road as it's coming out from underneath that, and just kind of drag to give some texture to the road. The Q-tip with some water, and we'll just try dragging that along the road too to get some ruts in it. Okay, and then we'll give that a little bit of a chance to dry. Okay, I'm going to take a warm gray 0.5 and a 94 in my alcohol markers. And since there is quite a difference between these two colors, what I'm going to do is I am going to touch the tip of my lighter color to my darker one, and then I'm going to color in the side of the bridge. And I'm going from the top down because the top has more shadow than the bottom does. Okay, and for the bricks underneath the bridge, I'm going to use my blue-gray markers. Take a little bit of my 104 and add a little more to these shadows here, especially underneath. Then I'll take some of my number 48. Okay, now I'm going to use this grass from the Nature Set 1. Okay, and I'm going to use some Stampin' Up! Pear Pizzazz. Okay, now I'm going to use my Art Impressions grass. I'm going to use the big grass. Use the Art Impressions small grass stamp. Okay, I'm going to clean my stamp, and I'm going to use Stampin' Up! Garden Green. This is a darker green. Now I'm going to use my Stampin' Up! Flower stamps, and I'm going to use Stampin' Up! Calypso Coral. And I am just going to stamp up the flower portion of it. And I'll take my stamp chamois and wipe off everything below the flowers. And then I'm just going to stamp some flowers in. And then I'll use the smaller stamp Okay, I'm going to take my white gel pen Okay, and I'm going to try to take some number 67 and 65 alcohol marker to get some more color around the bridge area. So I'll start with my lighter color. Okay, and I'm going to take my white gel pen again, and I'm going to just put a little bit of highlight on top of these rocks to help define them a bit. Take my blue-gray 3, and I'm going to add more shadow to the inside here. Let's see, I'm going to remove the highlights I put on here. Okay. I think I'll add a little blue-gray underneath the eaves here. And here also. Blue-gray is a good shadow color. This is Blue-gray 3 that I've been adding. Okay, and let me add some 103. And I'll use number 104. Okay, I'm going to take some Stampin' Up! Summer Sun. I'm going to take my yellow brush and I'm just going to kind of pounce up here where the light is. I just want to add some small birds into this, so I'm going to take my black Marvy Le Plume 2 marker. It's the number 1. I'm going to use the fine tip, and then I'm just going to draw some little birds. And I have a spider. There, got it, spider, rip. Okay, and I guess that's just about it. I guess, oh, wait a minute, I need to decide what I want to stamp in the corners here, so give me a sec to think. Okay, and I think I'm going to use just these branches here in the Stampscapes Nature Set 13. Okay, and I'm just going to stamp them in Memento Tuxedo Black. Okay, I'm going to use some of my Stampin' Up! Garden Green and my little grass stamp again, and where this was kind of dark from the stamp, I'm just going to make some grass right over that. And maybe I'll even do one of the small flowers there. Just right there in the middle of the road. This is a very overgrown road, and also right there. Just to give a hint that this road is very overgrown. Our little mountain shack keeper does not do a good job at mowing grass on the road. Okay, so the very last thing I'm going to do then is I'm going to sign and date it. Because this is, after all, my creation, so I can sign and date it if I want. And I'm going to add just a little bit of the 104 color in here, just to add a little bit more fall color. And so now I'll go spray it with my protective spray. Okay, I'm just going to use some UV resistant clear acrylic coating on this. So I'm going to take this outside and I'm going to spray this really well. Okay, and so this is the final result. And I hope you enjoyed it.